Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about graphing the three forms, part 2, vertical, horizontal, parallel, and perpendicular lines. Let's take a look. So starting with some information about vertical and horizontal lines, vertical line has an undefined slope. Its equation takes the form as x equals a, where a is the value for x. A horizontal line has a slope of 0, and is an equation that takes the form of y equals b, where b is the value for y. So let's play this out in a couple examples. Here we are in example A, and we've got to identify the slope of this graph and write an equation. So we see that we've got a horizontal line there that's going across from 4, and so every single point on this line is going to be at 4. So y is going to be equal to 4, y is going to be equal to 4, y is going to be equal to 4, y is going to be equal to 4. Our slope, since our line is not going up or down, it's just a straight line, is going to be 0. So we have a 0 slope here. We're going to write that equation as y equals 4 because every single location of this line is on 4. So that is why our equation is y equals 4. Let's take a look at example B. Here in example B, we've got a vertical line, and that's going up and down along -5 where x is. A vertical line doesn't have a slope. It's straight up and down. So our slope here is going to be undefined. So we're going to write that word out, undefined, as our slope. So we're going to write this equation as x equals -5 because every point on this line is at -5. So this one's at -5, this one's at -5, this one's at -5, so on and so forth. So all of our vertical lines are going to be x equal equations, and all of our horizontal lines are going to be y equals equations. Now let's take a look at some more information. So here we have parallel lines. We've got two lines that are parallel, slope of h of x and our slope of f of x. So let's first by finding our slope in each of these equations, or each of these lines. So we're going to start with h of x. So we're going to find our y-intercept here, and we're going to go up 1 over 1, 2, and we're back. We go up 1 over 1, 2. So we're going up 1 over 2. So we've got a slope of 1/2. We're going to do the same thing now with our other line, our f of x. So we're going to start with its y-intercept. We're going to go up 1 over 1, 2. We're going to go up 1 over 1, 2. So it also has a slope of 1/2. So the thing that we notice about the slopes of parallel lines is parallel lines have the same slope. Their slopes are equal. So anytime that you have a set of parallel lines, their slopes will be the same. Now let's take a look at perpendicular lines. Here we are at perpendicular lines, and we've got two lines again, slope of h of x and slope of f of x. So we're going to find those slopes first, and then we're going to compare them. So let's start with the slope of h of x. So we're going to start down here with our y-intercept. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3 over 1, up 1, 2, 3 over 1. So our slope is 3 over 1, or just 3. Then we're going to find the slope of f of x. So we're going to start at our y-intercept, and we can see that our line is going down. So we know that our line is going to be negative. It's going to the right there and down. So we have a negative slope. So we're going to include the negative here before we do anything else. Then we're going to go down 1 over 1, 2, 3, down 1 over 1, 2, 3. So our slope here is negative 1/3. So the thing that we are noticing about these slopes is 1 is 3 and 1 is negative 1/3, is these slopes are negative reciprocals. So we can tell that they are the opposite of each other. 3 inverse 1/3, and then negative. The opposite of negative 1/3 is positive 3. So let's sum that up. So here in our summary, we can say the parallel lines have equivalent slopes. So y equals 2x plus 1 and y equals 2x minus 5 are an example of that because both their slopes are 2. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So you can see an example here of y equals 2x plus 1 and then y equals negative 1/2 x minus 5 because those slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Now let's take a look at some more examples. So here we have parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we have to try and determine if each of these equations that we have, or sets of equations here, are parallel to each other, neither, or perpendicular to one another. So let's start with A. So we can see that both of these equations are in slope-intercept. And it's important that both of them are in slope-intercept. If they're not both in slope-intercept, we can't compare them. So we've got y equals 3x plus 5 and y equals 1/3 x. So we can see that they're not having the same slope. 3 and 1/3 are different numbers. However, 1/3 is not negative 1/3. Remember, for them to be opposites, they'd have to have a negative there. They don't, so they are neither because their slopes are not the same and their slopes aren't negative reciprocals of each other. Now let's take a look at example B. In example B, we've got a little bit more of an issue because neither of our lines here is in slope-intercept form. So we have to first turn them into slope-intercept form so we can compare them before determining are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we'll start with x plus y equals 12. So we've got to get the y by itself. So we're going to write that out, x plus y equals 12. We're going to draw our wall. We're going to subtract x from both sides. These are going to cancel. We're going to end up with y equals negative x plus 12. So that's one of our equations in slope-intercept form. Now let's put the other one in slope-intercept form. So this time we've got 2x plus 2y equals 10. So again, we're going to draw our wall. We're going to subtract 2x because remember our whole goal is to get y by itself. We end up with 2y is going to equal to negative 2x plus 10. And our last step is going to be to divide both sides by 2. We've got to divide everything on the right-hand side by 2. When we do that, we end up with y equals negative 2 divided by positive 2 is going to be negative 1x or negative x. And positive 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5. So now we can see that our two lines are y equals negative x plus 5 and y equals negative x plus 12. They have the exact same slope of negative 1. And since they have both the same exact same slope, they are parallel. Now example C, we've got one of our lines in slope-intercept, so that's great, but the other line is not in slope-intercept, so we have to first turn that to slope-intercept before we can compare them. So we're going to start by taking our 3x plus 4y equals 1. We're going to draw our wall down, and again, we've got to move some things to the other side, so we're going to subtract 3x from this side, subtract 3x from this side. These are going to cancel, leaving me with 4y equals negative 3x plus 1. And then my last step will be there that I have to divide everything by 4. These are going to cancel, leaving me with just y. Negative 3/4 x is going to be our slope. And then 1 divided by 4 can't be done, so it's going to stay the fraction 1/4. So now we're going to compare our slopes. So we've got negative 3/4 on one side and we've got 4/3 on the other. You can see that they are inverses of each other, 4 over 3 versus 3 over 4, and one is positive and one is negative. So they are negative reciprocals of each other, meaning that these are perpendicular. Now let's take a look at how to graph a line through just one point. So we've got writing an equation through a point here. We're going to write an equation for a line parallel to y equals negative 5x plus 1 and passes through the point 3, 2. So again, we're going to want those to be in y equals mx plus b. We're going to be looking for slope-intercept form here. So we know a couple of things. One, we know the slope. The slope has to be negative 5 because these lines have to be parallel to each other. So we know our slope is negative 5. So previously, when we had 2 points, we had to find our slope and then plug one of them in. We only have 1 point to plug in this time, so that's easy enough for us. So we're going to plug in all of the information we have. We know that 2 is going to be equal to y. We know that our m is negative 5 because it has to have the same slope as the previous line. We know our x in this case is going to be 3 because that's from the point, and plus b because we don't know b yet. We're going to draw our wall and then we're going to simplify our equation. So negative 5 times 3 is going to be negative 15. So we've got negative 15 plus b on one side of our equation. Bring down our 2 because we didn't do anything with that. Then we've got to get rid of that negative 15. So we're going to do that by adding 15 to both sides. These are going to cancel, leaving us with just b. And 2 plus 15 is 17. So now we know b is 17. We know our slope is negative 5. So now we can write our equation. So our equation is going to be y equals. Our slope is negative 5 because we have to have the same slope that we had before. Bring down our x. And we know our b is 17, so plus 17. We now have a line that is parallel and goes through that point. Now let's take a look at one more example. Here in our last example, we're going to write an equation through a point, and that point has to be perpendicular to the line y equals negative 2x plus 6. So we know that because they have to be perpendicular, we're going to have negative reciprocal as our slope. So the opposite of negative 2x is going to be positive 1/2. So we know that our slope has to equal 1/2. Now again, we're going to be using slope-intercept form, so we're going to want our equation in the end to be y equals mx plus b. So now let's start by plugging it. We know our point is 4, and we know our other y is going to be 9. So let's substitute in what we have. So we substitute in 9 for y. We've got to equal our slope, and we know that is going to be positive 1/2. Our x is going to be 4, and plus b, because again, we don't know b. We're going to go ahead and draw our wall. We're going to simplify our equation. 9 is just going to become 9. 1/2 times 4 is 2. That brings 2 plus b. Our last step is going to be subtract 2 on both sides. These are going to cancel, leave me with just b. 9 minus 2 is 7, so b equals 7. So now we have all the information that we need. We know that our equation is going to be that y equals. We know our slope is going to be 1/2 because it's going to be the opposite reciprocal of negative 2. Don't forget the x. And then we've got positive 7 as our b. That brings us to the end of this question. It also brings us to the end of this video. If you like this video, go and throw us a thumbs up. If you love this video, go and throw us a sub. And we will catch you in the next one.
너는 선어해 낮에는 너만큼 따사로운 그런 선어해